She was a noblewoman meant for comfort, yet she became one of Rome's greatest saints by walking into plague, war, and ruin when everyone else would have run. Saint Frances of Rome was born into nobility, but she became famous for serving the poor in ruined streets and plague-struck houses. She is remembered as a wife, a mother, a mystic, a foundress, and one of the great saints of late medieval Rome. Her story begins in the year 1384, when she was born in Rome as Francesca Bussa de Leoni. Her parents were Paolo Bussa de Leoni and Giacobella di Rofredeschi, members of the Roman nobility. She grew up in a city marked by disorder, factional struggles, and the lingering wounds of the Western Schism. From childhood, she was drawn to prayer, to spiritual reading, and to the lives of the saints. She reportedly wanted to dedicate herself entirely to God in religious life while still very young. That desire did not disappear, but her family had different plans for her future. Before she was even in her teens, her father arranged her marriage to Lorenzo Ponziani. Lorenzo belonged to a wealthy and politically important Roman family. He was connected with papal service and is remembered as a commander of papal troops. Frances was very young when she entered this arranged marriage, likely around 12 or 13. At first glance, this looks like the death of her earlier vocation. In reality, it became the field in which her sanctity first took visible form. She moved into the Ponziani household in the Trastevere area of Rome. There, she learned discipline, household management, patience, and the religious duties expected of a noble wife. She also found an important companion in Vanosa, the wife of Lorenzo's older brother. The two women developed a shared life of devotion, penance, and service to the needy. Frances did not become holy by escaping ordinary life. She became holy by enduring it, ordering it, and sanctifying it from within. She attended to domestic duties, cared for servants, managed practical matters, and fulfilled her responsibilities as a wife. At the same time, she practiced fasting, prayer, and frequent confession under spiritual direction. One important guide in her life was Father Antonio di Monte Savello, an Olivetan Benedictine connected with Santa Maria Nuova. Her piety was not theatrical, and it was not detached from material reality. She understood that love of God had to take visible form in action. That conviction would define the rest of her life. It would also make her stand out sharply from many other women of her class. Frances and Lorenzo had children, and the sources clearly name Battista, Evangelista, and Agnes. Some later accounts mention more children, but the best established names are those three. Her life as a mother was marked by both joy and deep grief. Her son, Evangelista, died in 1411 while still young. Her daughter, Agnes, died in 1413, also at a young age. These losses came during years already scarred by epidemic disease and political instability. Rome in this period was not a grand Renaissance postcard. It was a damaged city full of poverty, violence, and social collapse. Frances did not respond to that world by retreating into luxury. Instead, she and Vanosa began visiting the sick, the poor, and the abandoned. They went to churches, hospitals, and neglected parts of the city where suffering was concentrated. Frances opened her household stores to those in need during famine and hardship. Traditional accounts say she emptied granaries and wine stores for the hungry. When family members objected, she persisted in works of mercy anyway. She also gave away expensive clothing and replaced noble display with simplicity. It was not symbolic poverty performed for admiration. It was practical generosity that cost her comfort, status, and approval. Her example reportedly drew other Roman noblewomen away from frivolous living and into serious charity. The historical background of her middle years was brutal. During the conflicts surrounding the Western Schism and the struggle for power in Rome, the Ponziani family suffered heavily. Between 1408 and 1414, Rome was deeply affected by Neapolitan intervention and wider political violence. Lorenzo, who remained loyal to the papal side, was seriously wounded. His injuries affected him for the rest of his life. Francis's brother-in-law Paluzzo was sent into exile. Her young son Battista was seized as a hostage. The family palace was ransacked, and their property was confiscated before later being restored. These events tested her patience, her courage, and the seriousness of her faith. Her sanctity becomes more impressive when one remembers that it was forged under pressure, not in comfort. She dealt with political disorder, family trauma, maternal grief, and material loss all at once. Yet the sources consistently present her as calm, disciplined, and intensely charitable during these trials. She continued aiding the sick in hospitals, including Santa Maria in Capella, Santa Cecilia, and Santo Spirito in Sassia. She turned parts of her own residence into shelter for people in need. Her house became a place of relief in times of hunger and plague. This is one reason later Romans came to love her as a distinctly Roman saint. She did not merely pray for the city from a distance. She served the city with her own hands in its darkest years. Frances is also remembered as a mystic, and this side of her life became especially prominent later on. According to traditional accounts, she experienced ecstasies, visions, and supernatural revelations. She was said to have seen her guardian angel in bodily form. That angel, in later tradition, accompanied her and illuminated her path. This image would eventually contribute to her patronage of motorists centuries later. Older Catholic sources also attribute to her visions concerning purgatory, hell, and spiritual warfare. Some texts say she foretold the ending of the Western Schism. Others say she could discern hidden snares of demonic origin and read consciences with unusual clarity. These claims belong to her hagiographical tradition and were part of her enduring reputation for holiness. At the same time, the mystical element never replaced her active charity. She remained grounded in duty, service, and practical responsibility. Around 1425, with her husband's consent, Frances embraced a chaste form of married life. This was not a rejection of marriage, but a transition within it, made by mutual agreement. By then, her life had already become a model for other pious Roman women. A community gradually formed around her example and leadership. These women wanted a serious religious life without leaving the world in the usual monastic way. Frances gave that desire our shape, discipline, and direction. This was one of her greatest achievements. In 1425, she founded a group first known as the Oblates of Mary. In 1433, the community was established at Tor dei Specchi, near the Campidoglio in Rome. On the 4th July 1433, Pope Eugene IV approved the congregation. The house at Tor dei Specchi became the center of this new form of life. Its members lived in community, followed a disciplined spiritual rule, and devoted themselves to prayer and good works. They were linked with the Olivetan Benedictines and associated with Santa Maria Nuova. They did not originally follow the strict cloistered model of many convents. They also did not begin as a community defined by solemn, formal vows in the later standard sense. That flexible structure helped them unite contemplation with direct service. This matters because Francis's holiness was not anti-domestic and not anti-social. She did not treat the family as an obstacle to God. She showed that sanctity could mature through marriage, motherhood, widowhood, and organized charity. That made her unusual then, and it still makes her unusually relevant now. Even after the foundation at Tor dei Specchi, Frances did not immediately leave her husband. She remained at home for years because Lorenzo still needed care. His old wounds had left him weakened and dependent. She nursed him faithfully until his death in 1436. Only then did she finally join the community she had founded. When Frances entered Tor dei Specchi after Lorenzo's death, she did not arrive as a detached visionary floating above human needs. She arrived as a widow, a mother, a veteran of suffering, and a woman already tested by decades of service. She was received into the community and soon became its superior. Her authority was rooted less in status than in proven holiness. By that point, the people of Rome already viewed her as a living saint. She was known not only for prayer, but for miracles of healing and spiritual consolation. Some accounts describe cures of body and soul worked through her intercession or presence. Her reputation spread widely while she was still alive. That combination of active charity and mystical authority made her extraordinary. Her final illness came after she went to visit her son. She returned and died in Rome on the 9th March 1440. She was about 56 years old. She was buried in the church of Santa Maria Nuova in the Roman Forum. That church would later become closely identified with her and is now commonly called Santa Francesca Romana. The faithful venerated her body long before her formal canonization. Older sources say her body was found incorrupt some months after death. Later examinations and translations of her remains became part of her cult in Rome. Her shrine remained an important place of devotion for centuries. Her canonization did not happen immediately, but devotion to her never disappeared. According to the Catholic Encyclopedia, formal processes concerning her sanctity took place in 1440, 1443, and 1451. There was not a separate modern beatification stage in the way later canonization causes often have one. Instead, after those earlier processes, Pope Paul V canonized her directly on 9th of May, 1608. He also assigned 9th March as her feast day. That date remains her principal liturgical commemoration in the Roman calendar. Britannica, Vatican sources, and Catholic reference works all agree on the 1608 canonization under Paul V. Her public cult, therefore, rests on both long local devotion and official papal recognition. She became not merely a Roman memory, but a saint of the universal church. Her patronages also reveal how Catholics remembered her life. She is honored as a patron saint of widows. She is also a patron of Benedictine oblates. Most famously, she is patroness of motorists and drivers. That title was formally associated with her in 1925 under Pope Pius XI. The reason comes from the tradition that her guardian angel went before her with a light. In older Rome, that meant protection in dangerous streets after dark. In the modern imagination, the same image became protection on the road. It is one of the most striking examples of an ancient hagiographical image receiving a modern application. What, then, is Saint Frances of Rome known for above all? She is known for proving that sanctity is not reserved to one state of life. She was not first famous as a cloistered nun or a royal martyr. She became holy in marriage, in motherhood, in widowhood, and in public charity. She endured bereavement without bitterness and status without vanity. She founded a lasting community without abandoning practical service. She was revered as a mystic without losing contact with the material misery around her. She belonged fully to Rome, yet her example reaches far beyond Rome. That is why her feast on 9th of March still deserves serious attention. She speaks to parents burdened by grief. She speaks to wives and husbands trying to sanctify ordinary duties. She speaks to widows and widowers who must rebuild life after loss. She speaks to Catholics who feel called to serious prayer while living in the world. She speaks to anyone who wants faith to become visible in action. Her life says that charity is not sentiment, but sacrifice. Her life says that contemplation is not passivity, but a source of strength. Her life says that disorder in the world is not an excuse for spiritual laziness. Saint Francis of Rome lived in a broken age and became a saint inside it. That is precisely why she remains powerful now. She did not wait for ideal conditions before serving God. She did not confuse noble birth with noble character. She did not use private suffering as permission to harden her heart. She did not abandon prayer for activism or abandon service for mystical self-absorption. She held together household duty, supernatural faith, and practical mercy. On 9th March, the Church remembers not only a mystic, but a disciplined builder of Christian life. It remembers Francesca Bussa de Leoni, wife of Lorenzo Ponziani, foundress of Tor de Specchi, and Saint of Rome. And it remembers that holiness can walk through ruined streets and still carry light. Being Catholic is based. Be one yourself. Subscribe for daily saints and Catholic history.